to health is wealth. And to get that health, you have to have water. So that is why we stand the way we stand. I support our chairman who just shared his information with you. Coming from a oral speaking home, my parents were fluent, my grandparents were fluent, my aunts and uncles were fluent. And right now, for myself as a educated fluent speaker, I share that commonology with Sitting Bulls telling us, our grandfather saying we gotta walk in two worlds. We walk in two worlds, we're gonna help the people best we can. So I practice that and I share that with the chairman in his endeavors. And the chairman has taken a lot of responsibility. We share it with him in the council, and that respect for and gratitude we have and appreciation we have for all the tribes that have come. There's so many. We can stand here, we'll talk for hours and still not cover every tribe that has come. And it's so heartfelt by our community, the community I represent. There's 403 of us, but it's heartfelt because we'll in our lifetime, we never seen this, and we hope to see it again. But this is something that happened in the in the 1800s. After that, atrocities happened to our people, the Hunkpapa people, that we still work on today. The violence that had happened to our grandfather Sitting Bull, and the violence that happened in Lummi, because we as people stand for Mother Nature. We believe that we're part of the earth, and so the earth can't speak, we need to speak. So I wanted to share that with the interview here.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? You once heard Jewel talk about, like climate change isn't new to our people because our people have been around since the Ice Age, since the last 10,000 years, and yet we see, what's happening to the world. Look, there's 9 hurricanes, 5 in the Caribbean and 4 heading towards Hawaii. Look at the rains down in Louisiana. They call it a 1,000-year, 1,000-year flood, but the earth, Mother Earth is starting to take care of herself if we don't do something about what we're doing to her.
Yes, I agree, we agree, and so that voice needs to be strong, and it needs to be spiritual, and it needs to be articulated voice. It needs to be shown to the people, no matter who it is, and throughout the world, is that this is very important for us to be a people, and it's always communal. It wasn't all about one person or one group. It's for all. So that's the word Oyate. It doesn't have boundaries. It's for all. It's in our language, the Dakota language, the Tipuan language, the Hunkpapa language. So for me, my grandparents and my parents raising me the way they raised me is, and I'm able to share that with the world. And I give gratitude to my parents, and I give gratitude to my grandparents who are no longer with us, but they'll always be with me in spirit, always be with me when I do my journey as a council representative for the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. So thank you for this time that you've given to me, that I hope that we can help the world to learn.
Educate them just a little bit more. What was your name?
Robert Taken Alive.
What was your last name?
Taken Alive.
Taken Alive. So nice to meet you. Thank you for taking this breath of time to be with our relatives online here, and we're gonna do our best to stand with you here for the next 2-3 days, and it's an honor, and thank you for allowing us into the great territory of your people.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
This is Brooks Bodity. She's Facebook famous.
Are you Facebook famous?
I just cry a lot.
That's okay. So tell us what's been going on. What's going on here?
Well, for the last couple of weeks, we have seen. I've been back. I go to the University of Washington. I'm in a doctorate. But we've seen just a flood of support from different nations coming, and it's been really overwhelming. We see people that first started organizing, and I think a lot of folks don't know that this camp has been here since April, and everything that's gone into it. And so it's such a. I feel like it's waking something up in a lot of people. And I think even though that might be already kind of awake, we're able to, there's something really beautiful about this camp that you can see you can see it in our genes. You can see it, the prayer and how powerful it is. And I think one of the most gratifying, beautiful things is being able to see one of our Braveheart sisters just saying, I had no idea this was going to happen. We just were trying to protect the land, and just being very emotional and touched. And so it's a beautiful thing. The Ocheti, the Totem Pole is amazing. Our Lummi relatives, thank you so much for coming. I mean, I'm just kind of in shock. It's going to take a long time to, I guess, process it. But yeah, I've been here for the last couple of weeks, back and forth. I'm Mihawto, so I go back and forth between our reservation and the Includes.
And like you say, it's we've heard along the way, the corporations have the profits and the politicians, whereas we have the power of the people and our ancestors standing and guiding us.
And those often like this, right? So what you see, and it's interesting to kind of see these two worlds converge together and how you navigate through that, state control, domination, colonialism, and then you have prayer. You have the continuity of culture, of ancestors, and being really able to be on the land. And then speaking to officials, I think what I've noticed is there's so much missing from that professionalized language that people use within, these policies and within corporations, and it's all set up for us to fail, right? Unless you come in numbers, unless you organize in mass numbers, and I cannot believe how many people are coming to support us.
Yeah.
You can't ignore it. Mass media, on MSNBC, the piece that I saw, I was completely shocked that there was a little bit of truth. And you have seen so much of an erasure of this camp, because I think that it's threatening.
Yeah.
So much Indians come together.
Yeah, and people, we're so caught up, the media is so caught up with, somebody's emails and Donald Trump's hairpiece, and this whole, it's just so negative, and it's not even news, whereas here we are trying to protect our sacred water. Why do we call it sacred? Because our earth is alive. We are, our 90% of our, and here, we, our elders here and our family here and our relatives are just trying to protect for the future generations. Fracking, and these corporate greed has gone far enough. Ruben, you were talking about the Danish and how they charge 80% tax. Portugal, they charge 80% tax on fossil fuels.
Yep.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, you don't see them with medical problems of paying their doctors and paying their nurses, education problems, and it's a divestment. So because they did that, they're the first country in the world to have the whole country run on green energy for 3 full days. And the economy's taken off. So it comes down to what I was saying earlier, that 1%. That's all that bullshit that they're saying that it's good for the economy, it's good for jobs. It's not. We're part owners of the second best wind turbine company in Canada, and selling, and we know it creates jobs. Lummi Nation, geothermal energies for their admin building, their streetlights are all solar panels, and same with us. We're doing the same thing, divestment into something better. So.
And I think tribes, that's a really fertile grounds for development. I think that if there was more of a willingness to work with us and to actually tap into the brilliance of Indigenous people. Because I think, just seeing at this camp, the coming together and like coagulation of all of these skills, all these beautiful, whether it's prayer, whether it's Western knowledge, whether it's engineers, whether it's lawyers, and coming together and camping together and spending time together. But I really am having a difficult time reading Bismarck Tribune. I'm having a really hard time with local media, North Dakota media, talking about, these painting the camp, the protest as something that is violent and it's not. It's something extremely peaceful. We have elders, we have kids there. And it's so rooted in prayer and good things, and it doesn't just have to do with Indigenous people. This isn't just some romanticized like Indian thing, like the noble savage trope. It's not that. It really is literally for everybody. This is a problem.
And this is how we're getting that message out to the people of faith. This is how we're getting the message out to our different communities that are going to be affected by this, because this ain't just the Standing Rock Sioux problem. This is the Missouri River. Well, the Missouri goes into the Mississippi. The Mississippi goes down into the Gulf of Mexico, where, oh, wow, British Petroleum just had one of the largest oil spills in modern day history.
Can I add something what she's saying?
Yeah.
What Brooke was saying, these companies come in, they buy the media and they buy the politicians. We know that. But here's something I just read this morning. 75% of Iowa residents oppose this pipeline. When people, Americans, generally just normal people, when they find out the true facts of what this is and who this service is with that 1%, they'll make better choices too. It's not good for our American economy. Look at this. It's a $750 billion to $1 trillion industry, and who does that service? Why is America the only country in the world that have people file for bankruptcy because they can't afford their medical bills? When you look at Portugal and these other countries, it's free. Education's free. University's free. It's ass backwards.
You consider the health impacts that it's going to have. And I know that we get into the numbers and we get into what can happen to the body. And I work specifically with women. I work with little girls. I belong to which is the Brave Heart Women's Society. So we work with a lot of our girls. And one thing that I know when it comes to pipeline and constructions and influx of workers that come into very vulnerable, already vulnerable populations is it increases the demand. And that has to do with sex work. It has to do with sex trafficking. So my concern right now has to do with whatever happens to the land happens to our bodies. And it is most likely to happen to Indigenous women's bodies. And that's not to discount men, but it's females. And this is something that has been since the onset of contact. And so with these, and here's the thing. So many of the grandmas and so many of the movers and shakers in our communities have hit on man camps. And what has happened is you can see that there's no man camps. What we suspect is that they're staying at the casino. They've dispersed them. But there is a demand, and the root cause of sex trafficking has to do with the demand.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I was talking about that just last night on the way here. We were talking about the camps and about the trafficking. I mean, there's, not only with what comes with these camps is, it's not, it's not just the sex trafficking, drug, everything else that comes with it.
But this is what the problem is there's this, there's this narrative that sex work or sex trafficking and it is based on and rooted in vulnerable communities, which is bullshit. It's rooted in a demand. It's rooted in a culture that dominates women, objectifies women, and the most likely women, and this isn't an accident, the most likely women that are going to be exploited and hurt and are already the most exploited and hurt women. And they're forgotten, they're erased, and the same thing is going to happen to their life. There's a correlation there.
Yeah.
That's not an accident. That's systemic. So.
What was your name again?
Brooke Spotted Eagle.
Brooke Spotted Eagle. So your Faith's daughter?
Yeah.
Brooke, for folks that are tuning in right now, how can they support from miles away the camps at Standing Rock?
I would say, like the page, get on social media because there's a lot of, I know that in the organization of this camp and in this movement, there's a lot of people doing good work on social media. So check out what supplies are needed.
What's the page?
I can't read. It's the standing
Note.
or the Sacred Stone campsite, and
Yeah.
Okay.
you could Google it and
Yeah.
it'll come up.
Okay.
They do that site, and on Facebook, if you follow some of the feeds, they renew lists of supplies that are needed. And one thing that I did notice is there's so much coming in from people, in terms of like meat and food. But they need refrigerators. They need a way
Refrigerator.
to be able to preserve that food.
Yeah.
Because we get, we
An influx, and you need to freeze them or refrigerate them. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
To preserve it. And I know that a lot of people are working on bapa, like the dried meat and stuff, but there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So there's that. You can check that out. Get the word out. I think a lot of non-natives, I'm on Twitter a lot, and I look at discourse on Twitter. And one thing that I notice is there's guilt. There's a lot of guilt from non-natives, especially settler non-natives. And I always hear, I feel really awful about the state of a lot of the communities. What can I do? This is a time that you can do something.
Yeah.
Donate to these camps. Keep it going. Even a retweet, even a share, and learn about it. Educate yourself.